The Global South. You probably know it by the terms Third World or Developing Countries. With a few exceptions, it encapsulates almost all of Asia, Africa, Latin America, the Middle East, Eastern Europe, the Caribbean, and the BRICS countries, notably Russia and China, who have championed Global South issues even though some analysts think they shouldn't be considered part of the South. It's likely that majority of what you've heard about the Global South came from a news report, government statement, INGO story, or even a blockbuster film that came from the Global North, or the West, or Developed World as it's better known. Which is problematic for a number of reasons, but mainly because the North, through media and language, then has precedence over how the South is seen and perceived. See, the categorization of Global North and South is based on a socio-economic and political checklist. For instance, the Global North is considered home to more democratic and technologically advanced and powerful countries, while the Global South, more often than not, is seen as lacking in monetary resources, dependent on exports, and home to a poor human rights record. South countries also usually have the shared experience of colonization.
We wonder what there could be in the present-day dilemma of the white man's hemisphere that could possibly add anything to their happiness and contentment.
Because of this historic global power structure, there emerges a dominant perspective or vernacular that all of us, North and South, are susceptible to considering as the norm or the standard. And this affects how North and South assert their place in the world. So, for instance, South governments are pretty much used to being directed by North governments on how they should be running their countries. Many intergovernmental organizations use Global North structures and systems as the main model to prototype off. And the South is used to being featured in documentaries that talk about poverty, human rights abuses, and such. And the South is pretty much used to playing the anti-hero or being highly exoticized in blockbusters from the West. But this form of narrative lacks local context, often has political strings attached, and succeeds in portraying the South only in negative terms. And this is what South governments are usually talking about when they say they are being unfairly measured or controlled by the West. Here are some examples.
We don't need the West. The West is not honest at all. They don't give, they only take.
Transparent.
You don't ask that from the Americans. You don't go and ask that from the British or any other country about Iraq or Afghanistan or what is happening in Pakistan. This is, be fair with us. Be fair with us.
中国欢迎一切善意的这种建议，但是我们拒绝任何无端的指责。
Of course, there are people who say, well, we give you our money, so we must tell you what to do and what to be. Well, there comes a point where you say, okay, between my rights and what I want to be and your money, you can have your money.
Надо против кого-то сплачиваться. Вот против России это хорошо, крупнейшая ядерная держава.
Each of us already have a North or South bias, and this usually informs us on who we think are the good guys or the bad guys. But really, the story is always developing. Today's bad could be tomorrow's good. It's just a matter of perspective change.